Today on Hot Takes, we're talking about the unparalleled relentlessness of Jakob Owens and what it takes for you to make a name for yourself and your business. All that coming up next. You don't want to miss it. What's up, guys? Welcome back. Thank you for joining in again. I just wanted to remind you to like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, or wherever you find your podcasts. And be sure to join in on our Patreon for as low as $1 a month and get a shout out at the end of each episode. And if you or anybody you know is looking for any film or video services, be sure to check out evanrogersfilm.com. Evan Rogers Film, creating the visuals of the future. Guys, I had to jump in today because I was feeling particularly motivated to talk about Jakob Owens, who is one of my personal heroes and somebody I look up to quite a bit in the film space. A lot of you might know him if you're in the film space. You've probably seen a lot of his targeted ads, which are incredibly effective. They're all over the place for a number of different things. A lot of you know Buff Nerds. Buff Nerds is where he created his YouTube channel and started doing music videos and then a bunch of helpful videos for us creatives and navigating the business, all that stuff. Then he's also more recently come out with Prism Lens Effects, Tropic Color, Learn Film. You've probably seen a lot of those. Barracks LA, he does a bunch of rental stages and a number of different things. But also, I wanted to talk about the obsession that you can have with your craft, right? At the beginning, I posed the question, or the topic is the unparalleled relentlessness of Jakob Owens. If you know him, you know what I'm talking about. But I wanted to talk specifically about how you can have an obsession about your craft that helps generate business for you and helps create a name for yourself in your given industry. A lot of this, again, as most episodes will be, this is tuned a lot more toward the film side, but I'm sure you can read into this in your industries as well. So specifically, I wanted to talk about this obsession that you can have for your craft. And do you relate to that word obsession? Right? That's something that can be a good or a bad thing. But in this situation, I'm talking about it from a standpoint of a love for what you do, right? That you'll do anything to make the next step for yourself, your career, or for somebody else. And some of the thoughts I wrote down, questions, I guess, posed questions are, do you have times where nothing you can do will stop you from thinking about an idea to further yourself, further your business, your craft? And then I also posed, are you constantly looking to improve or expand on your craft or yourself? It's another question that these are common things that you could ask yourself. And then these pieces, along with many others, are how you can develop a relentlessness about your craft that is unparalleled. Again, what we're talking about Jakob Owens today, that's a lot of what he does. So can you ask yourself those questions and honestly answer yes to those? Those are big questions, but that's what it's going to take for me to kind of show you and uncover a little bit of what Jakob Owens stands for, what he does, and how you can succeed, because he's created a method that works. I've been inspired by it heavily. I've kind of done my own thing, and I think he would tell you to do the same thing. But you definitely should keep those in mind as we go forward. So here's kind of what I wrote down about Jakob. Jakob is absolutely revolutionary to film because of the following reasons. Here's the first one. His never-ending energy and passion, right? This is something we kind of already just talked on a little bit, but I wrote down, is he a robot? That's a question mark. I really have no idea. He is the most consistent, the most, hardworking dude I've ever seen. I've never seen anybody put out as much content as they put out on all of their platforms, right? He is so consistent. I mean, he makes it a point to be in your face at all times, whether it's ads, whether it's, posting to his channels, whether it's posting Instagram, whatever it is, right? He's always there. He never stops. I wrote down ironclad will and determination. And that's something you could be asking yourself. You're like, obviously it's really hard to put out an output of that stuff. And yes, he does have a team that helps him do some of that stuff, but it's his wife is one of them. It's Thomas, his buddy. It's a bunch of other people that, are in his network, but it's not a huge army. This is a guy who does so much work by himself and then has now brought in his friends. I think he talks about his family and his friends. He talks about one of the joys of his life is being able to provide a salary for these employees that are, his family and friends. He's always wanted to do that, right? There's something that's really cool about that we'll kind of uncover later, but that never ending relentlessness, right? Like he's always working at it. He's always going. You see him everywhere, right? That's why I said, is he a robot? I don't know how you can do it as consistently as somebody like him does. Yes, you can prep all your content a month ahead and do a whole content day where you shoot everything and then you prep all the footage a bunch ahead before you launch it. But even then, it still takes freaking effort to do that, right? And then I also said under his never-ending energy and passion, he's either on set working, he's writing, he's making new products, or, he's writing new, I said writing because I think that goes for the film side, but also writing new content to help other people, right? That's one of the things he does best is learn film. That's what he's been doing for a long time. He's trying to create a film alternative. But that's something you should be doing is like when you're not doing something, obviously we've talked about work-life balance. That's very important. You want to make sure you have that downtime. But when you're feeling particularly fired up about your craft, what's the next thing you can do to further it? We've also talked about on Next Up, we've talked about not having a very or having more of a broad scope when it comes to your creative field, because you can do a number of different things. That's what Jakob does so well is he's been a DP in the past. He's been an operator in the past. He's also a director, a producer. He's done a little bit of everything on set. He edits all of his videos. He colors them. He does the whole thing, right? He can do every job on set, and he's learned every job on set because now he has learned how to expand himself. And that's also where he becomes so deadly with like prism lens effects, tropic colors. He has different fields and different balls he's trying to progress and push forward. Do you have those in your life that you can push forward, that you can create? I'm sure you have a bunch of ideas that you want to put in motion. That's the thing is you got to just do them and make them happen. Jakob is a great example of that. This is something that I'm challenged by every day when I see his stuff. I'm like, you know what? I had this idea today. I think I'm going to put it out there, right? This episode's a little bit less about kind of my way of putting it into motion and more out of reverence for Jakob and what I think his message is for people, creatives, and people he's advocating for and fighting for, right? So, and then I also just said he works his butt off to leave a legacy. That's what his plan is, right? I think, I'm not going to assume, but it seems to me that his plan is that he wants to leave a legacy for his future family, for future filmmakers, and for future people that, have been involved in his content and what he does forward. So that's the first point. His never-ending energy and passion is a way that he's changed the film world. Then I wanted to add in his ability to think outside of the box and put ideas into motion. I already kind of hinted at that, but thinking outside of the box is really cool. What I love about Jakob Owens is his approach when he's coming to a new idea, right? And you don't really see this. I don't really see this. Obviously, this is his own mental space that he occupies. But when you see it start to happen, I've at least understood a little bit more about where he comes from. He's looking at a situation, right? You see, let's say, for example, there's a lot of people opening, stages or that own land that are, building props and sets on, right? Jakob Owens looks at that and he says, well, what would be the way that if I open a place, right, before he opened anything, Barracks LA, right? That's his new stage that he has down in LA. Before I do anything, what would make this be cutting edge, right? And let's say not just cutting edge with one set. Let's say a bunch of sets. Instead of one massive set, let's make this a bunch of sets. Let's make it more versatile. Let's make it more adaptable, something that a lot of people can use, right? That guy went out and made Barracks LA, this huge space that he owns, not just one stage, but tons of stages. There's so many different options in there. There's stuff perfect for music videos. I mean, he put a bunch of storage containers in them and turned them into stages. And now literally like I'm an editor and colorist, and most of the videos I get from LA, almost I would say at least 25% of those videos are shot at Barracks LA because people see the stages and then guess what? He's starting to promote them. They're you see them all over the web, and then you see cool people that you like. Like artists that you like, they shot there. Oh my gosh. Well, how much is it? How can I shoot there? Then he's on PeerSpace, right? So this is what I'm trying to talk about is that he looks at an idea like building or owning a property, and then he says, well, how can I make this even better? And not even just better for himself, but better for creatives, right? Because that's what he's trying to do is help support this network of creatives. So that's what I mean by thinking outside the box, right? And putting his ideas into motion. I also put feeling empowered to put his ideas out there for his audience and not everybody else. And that's something huge, especially for me, something that I've been so encouraged by is, I think one of the things that is really hard to think through in this modern age of so much content is like man, if I'm making something, shouldn't this be reached by millions, right? Because it's so easy to say that, yes, success is associated with views, right? Because people saw your work. But the thing that I love about Jakob is he's so focused on, yes, getting his ideas and stuff out to the masses, but he's been big the whole time about serving to his audience, the people that follow him genuinely, not a bunch of random people that you don't know. That's not always the focus. Of course, you always want to have a bigger reach. But what I love about him is he's saying, let's look at this group of people that I'm running with, and let me keep giving them content that I feel like is going to be something that they would enjoy and something that's an expression of me, right? And that's been a huge encouragement to me, is that he's not focused on just throwing random content out there and hoping that 500,000 people take his course and pay for his things, buy Prism Lens Effects or Tropic Color or whatever it is. He's putting these ideas out there on his YouTube channel for the people that follow him. And then that network has grown and grown and grown and grown and grown over time. You've probably seen it. He's all over the place, right? And I just love that about him, that he's able to think outside of the box, put ideas into motion. And then, yeah, like I said a little bit ago, I also put down buying property to open film locations for others. He does that for other people. It's not just for him. He can go and find a location and shoot at it. Of course, he owns those locations, so of course he can use them. But I'm saying the coolest thing is he does that for other people. He's trying to leave his legacy so that other people that need those resources can take them. But he's really big on this. He's really big on the fact that he's trying to provide opportunity for other people. And if you're going to take advantage of those things that he's created, you should actually give it your all, right? You should really try to do that. And that's something across the board for everybody. If somebody's providing a resource, I would hope that if you engage in it and you take advantage of it, you go the whole nine, not just, oh, this is cool, I'm gonna scroll past, or I'm gonna hit like or comment. You actually need to make that happen if you really feel like you can use it. That's me with Prism Lens Effects and Tropic Color. That's why I'm such a huge advocate for both of those. Those have been huge. Those filters have changed a lot of my perspective on how to shoot things, music videos, etc., especially because those are really akin to my style, especially like the kaleidoscope, dream effects. I love all that stuff already. That's how my mind's eye pictures scenes and different things. So those are the first 2 points I said about how Jakob kind of has changed and revolutionized the film world through his, relentlessness, right? The next one is his openness to collaboration and delegation. He literally just said on his story today, and as I'm saying this is the end of June, he just said collaboration plus delegation equals growth of opportunity, right? And if you think about it, it's really true, because you can't do everything yourself. Thus why you would do delegation, right? And then obviously, you can't always, or you want to collaborate with people. You always want to do that. So if you're able to collaborate with more and more people and then be able to delegate off some of the stuff that you trust, you trust the people that are in your network and you're able to collaborate and delegate off, then suddenly you're building, you're growing. And I love this perspective from him, right? One of the things he does really well is he shares all of his secrets. I mean, for heaven's sake, what filmmaker does that? Most filmmakers want to keep their tools of the trade to themselves, right? But I love his perspective because he looks at it and he's like, you know what? Nothing's new under the sun, right? Everything has been done before. So why don't I share some of my perspective on why things are the way that I think when I'm doing them, why the things work the way that they do, right? And he shares all of his secrets to you. He creates this whole, platform, Learn Film, just so that people can go and attend that, learn his secrets that are on set and taking the trade instead of going to film school and spending a fortune, right? That's one of the things he tries to do. So that's a great example of sharing your secrets. He created, like I said, Learn Film, and he creates Tropic Color. I mean, one of my favorite things about that is the editing assets that you can get, like film burns, etc., all that kind of stuff in there. And then also contracts. He actually took the time to go with a lawyer and create tuned SOWs and, NDAs and talent releases, all just for these independent filmmakers. He takes the time to go out of his way to do that sort of thing, right? That's something that we can all learn from and be a part of. And then, one thing I think this has got to be the coolest point. I mean, for me, this is just the coolest thing. Prism Lens Effects, which I think is definitely the most incredible thing, creating products like that, especially as a filmmaker, to create something that you envision is amazing, but then to do it in a physical product is another level. He's created a style of the way he likes to shoot things that now people are buying all over the place. And now Jakob Owens' stamp is on all of this stuff. And Thomas, his friend and his wife and everybody involved. But that stamp is now on so many people's cameras. And by stamp, I mean, these effects, these lens effects that you can screw right onto your lens, and suddenly you're shooting like Jakob Owens. Or, you've been needing a prism and this just works, that you can throw on a kaleidoscope and then suddenly you're making images like you've been wanting to make for a long time, when you hold up a piece of glass in front of your lens and try to refract the light. He takes these solutions and he turns them into opportunity. And that's what he does with prism lens effects. It's another great thing that a lot of us filmmakers can think through. And he's now, made his art accessible. And then another thing I love is that he provides jobs and opportunities for so many people. That's, still falls under the collaboration and delegation thing. Like I said earlier, he wanted to provide a life, a great life and salary to his people, his family and his friends and everybody who's rode with him. And then he does something so cool, like every once in a while for a bunch of people. And if you're willing to do it and take advantage of it, you'll thrive, because he's set out the groundwork for you. I love that about him too. So that's the third point. Then the final point I just wanted to talk about briefly is, his vision for the future of the industry. I think you can understand this, the film industry in particular, but I think you can understand this from all of these points, that he doesn't wait around for people to tell him how to do what he knows he needs to do, right? He just makes it happen no matter what. And that's something that's really important for us, right? We all need to do that. That's something that I've loved about him. And every time I see a story, I'm like, gosh, I should be doing something. A story. That's how much he has an impact, right? Like, it's so valuable. And then he pushes new methods that many of us would not expect. He tries new things and he makes them happen. Something that not a lot of people do. And he puts his ideas into the world, even if people are not ready to hear them yet, right? That's something, oh my gosh, we all should be doing that. We shouldn't be always talking to the internet when we're doing stuff like a podcast. We shouldn't be telling the internet stuff that they already know or want to hear. Sometimes saying something that's not popular yet is something that will change the world. I won't say that all of what we do will always change the world, but I will say that I think he's onto something when he puts his ideas out into the world and says, you know what, this might be controversial right now, but I'm going to say it anyway. This is what we should be doing about film sets. We shouldn't be using tungsten lights anymore. We should be using LED, that kind of thing, right? Something that a lot of people won't love right away, but then over time, it's happening. Things like that are happening. I'm not saying Jakob did that, but I'm just saying that's an idea, right? And then making a name for yourself starts with the energy you put into your craft even before people see you. And I just watched this video of him that he was talking about film school. Is film school worth it, right? And so one of the things he said is one of his professors in film school was like, why are you ditching classes? Because he would miss a couple classes every, I don't know how many. I don't know anything about how much, but he was saying, I was missing classes because I was going out to LA to shoot a music video. And I was just stacking content and it was getting views and views and views and I was getting paid from it. And the film professors didn't agree with it. And they said that, his videos were trash and all this stuff. But he put the time in to make a name for himself by doing that constantly, right? And then over time, the repetition became something. And now he's built a small empire that he's going to keep growing. And he likes to say that he's changing film. And I think he is in a lot of respects. He's changing film and making it more accessible for the modern filmmaker, right? That's what I love about him. He encourages me so much with that stuff. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that you will keep coming back and hearing more episodes. I am seriously, Jakob, if you listen to this, I just appreciate you so much, man. I really have learned a ton from you and I keep learning a ton from you. And I hope that I can amount to doing things similar to what you're doing. I really appreciate it. Being 23 and just a number of years younger than you, not very much, but I just try to soak up as much as that you can put out there. And, I try to learn as much as I can. So anyway, thank you. Thank you for listening. Like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Join our Patreon for as low as $1 a month and get a shout out at the end of each episode. Be sure you do that if you haven't already and take advantage of some of those benefits. And if you or anybody you know is looking for any film or video services, be sure to check out evanrogersfilm.com. Evan Rogers Film, creating the visuals of the future. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. This is another episode of Hot Takes, and I will see you on the next one. And thank you to Next Level supporter Ethan Welch for supporting us on Patreon. Be sure you do that. Lots of cool benefits that are associated with that, so you don't want to miss it. Thank you, Ethan Welch, Next Level supporter.